How goes it out there, fellow palm nuts and exotic plant freaks? It's a beautiful early afternoon here on the southern Gulf Islands. Salt Spring Island, for those of you just tuning in, it is 1:44 p.m. Pacific time. Current temperature here at this end of the island is 16.5 degrees Celsius and mostly cloudy sky up there, quite a few blue sky breaks. We did have some showers this morning, but it's quite nice out here, and the garden is one very happy jungle of plants. It saves us watering. It is a long weekend here, so no work for me on Monday, which is a nice thing because Monday is like the worst day of the week for me. I don't like Mondays. I think they should just get rid of Mondays and make it an official gardening day. I think that's what they should do. One day of the year should be put aside for gardeners, and they should have it as an official holiday worldwide. Wouldn't that be good for palm nuts? So hopefully everybody out there is staying safe. You're probably out there hanging out in your gardens because it is Sunday, and I know a lot of you guys are a few hours ahead of me, and some of you guys are a whole day ahead of us, and over in Europe you're probably about 9 hours ahead of us. Anyway, weather follower. Uh, let's just see. Let me just put my glasses on here. Sun does bother my eyes. Thanks for starting early. It isn't 1 a.m. Nearly 10 p.m. All right. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's 1:45 p.m. here on Salt Spring Island, Sunday afternoon, and it is a beautiful afternoon. I was just saying we did get some early morning showers, which makes for a very happy garden, and it saves Wendy and I dragging the hose around because we have a lot of gardens, and a few of the plants do need watering when it gets dry. So the rain is actually a welcome relief here on the Gulf Islands. And GD Gardens, am I late? No, I just turned this on about 35 seconds ago, maybe not even a minute ago. And you're right here on time. I figured it's so nice. I was out working in the garden this morning, and it's early afternoon, and I figured, I just might as well do a live stream because it is beautiful out here. I'm feeling the humidity a little more right now, just because we did have rain and early this morning. So when the sun comes out, you can feel that humidity. But man, the garden is just full blown jungle out there. I got a four-wheeler for my birthday. What? Are you kidding me? That's awesome. You gotta love a four-wheeler. What type of four-wheeler did you get? Gotta like that. I don't have a four-wheel drive. I used to have a four-wheel drive Nissan Pathfinder many moons ago. So are you talking a quad? Is that what you got there? GD Gardens, a quad? That's pretty cool. My son's birthday's coming up. Oh, Polaris, those are really good. Polaris are awesome. My youngest son's going to be turning 20 July 13th. I don't know if he's going to be getting a quad, though. I don't know what I'm going to get him. I haven't thought about it. But I do get him something different every year. So maybe just some money, then he can go buy something. But and he lives over on the Big Island. Works over on the Big Island, just across the way in a town called Chemainus, which isn't that far from here, really. So you'll have fun on that Polaris four-wheel drive. Yeah, did you do hunting down there? Are you a hunter? Because I know a lot of hunters over here on our island have the quads. They strap their gun to the front, the rifle, and they head into the bush, and they bag some deer. If they go up north, they bag moose. We don't have any moose here. We have a lot of deer on our island, and the odd elk sometimes comes over from the Big Island. Apparently, there's a couple of elk running around on our island right now, and I hope they never make their way up here to the north end of the island, because if they get in your garden, they'll make a real mess. Hope your gardens are growing good where you are, folks. As you can see behind me, the taller palm in the back there, this is the first year she's blooming. I don't remember it blooming before, so it's got inflorescence coming out on it. It's not in full bloom yet, and most likely a female, so I will dust that with male pollen. I planted that thing in the 90s, and it's taken that long. It was under a huge maple tree for years, but I cut the maple down, and it seems to be a lot happier. Dylan Kelly, it hasn't rained properly in Dublin in nearly 2 months. This is very unusual. I have a 4-foot Dixonia antar. Should I be Yes, I would water it. We water ours here. Ours has, I think it's got about 16 croziers coming out right now. They're quite long, though. They're a few feet long right now, the fronds unfurling. And I always water them from the top of the crown and water the trunk down, too, because as you know, and if you don't know, the trunk on a tree fern consists of roots, right? So our Dixonia antarctica has about 6 feet of trunk, the biggest one, and the other ones are quite small. We have a lot of them in the garden. And yeah, I've been watering them quite a bit, except Today I'm not going to have to water because we did. Hey Dylan, we did get some rain this morning, and not a lot of it, but to keep the dust down and for us not to have to water the garden. Um, I will have to water the greenhouse. I did actually water the greenhouse yesterday, but I won't have to water it today. It's not going to be hot enough today. It may get up to around 18 degrees Celsius. It is. I can feel it is definitely getting warmer out here, and it is actually quite comfortable. Some of you guys in the deep south would be freezing your heinies off, and I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and I feel very comfortable. I don't. There's no chill in the air. Put it that way. Listening to the birds. Wendy's over there working on her little studio she's making, and I got what I had to get done in the garden this morning, so I can just sit back here and have this live stream and chat with all you garden freaks out there worldwide. I do enjoy the live streams; they're kind of fun, and it gives me a chance to relax too because I'm always on the go here. And like I say, it is a long weekend here. It's Victoria Day long weekend, and I don't work tomorrow. Monday is a holiday. If you're a government worker, I'm a government worker, so no work for us tomorrow. It will be a short work week, so it's going to be a cram session, doing all what we have to get done at the Parks Department. The grass is growing, so it needs mowing big time, and we mow a lot of parks here. It's just two of us that do it. There's another two on another crew, but they do trails and other things, and that's good. I'd rather be on the gardening side of the Parks Department. So, but yeah, other than that, everything's going really good here. Hope for everybody staying safe out there wherever you are. Looks like things are starting to open up. I was happy to see they've opened the beaches up in Hawaii. As you know, we like to take off for Maui every winter, and hopefully things will be roaring and ready to go in November when we head out. And hopefully there won't be a second wave of this pandemic. If so, I'll probably have to wear a mask and some gloves on the airplane, or maybe I just won't go at all. You know what I mean? But the worst thing is we've already paid and booked our place over there, so we'd have to get a refund. When should you harvest eucalyptus seed? When the seed pods are ripe. Watch my videos on it. I do have videos on eucalyptus seed harvesting. So when the seed pods are ripe and the ends are still nice and closed, if the ends of the seed pods are opened up, the seeds have dispersed and there's going to be nothing in them whatsoever. You remember eucalyptus seeds are like powder in those seed pods, and they're flowering right now. We have eucalyptus trees blooming right now, different varieties, and there are seeds on some of the trees right now, and you can harvest right now. My advice to you is bring the seeds inside. I usually scatter them on a plate, like a dinner plate, leave them on the kitchen table for several days. I let them dry out, or you put them in a bowl, do the same thing, and then I pour them into a stainless steel shaker, and I shake them out like pepper into a little stainless steel container, and uh, and then I put them back in the pepper shaker, and that's how I broadcast them over the seed flat. So I do have a flat coming up right now in the greenhouse, a mixed bag of eucalyptus. I just uploaded another eucalyptus video this morning and one yesterday. So the one this morning is eucalyptus cordata, heartleaf silver gums growing in town. They've been growing there for about, I guess, 18 years. And then another one I uploaded yesterday is Black Sally eucalyptus stellulata that I grew from seed and planted at my kids' elementary school when they were just little kids. And like I said, my oldest son's going to be 30 his next birthday, and I planted that when he's in grade 1. So it's looking really nice. Black Sally's a beautiful eucalyptus. There was a mountain gum, a mountain white gum growing beside it, Eucalyptus delarium but it got so big, the school district guys cut it down. Anyway, lots of different types of eucalyptus trees we do grow here on Salt Spring Island. I just planted another one this morning, one of my seed-grown gunnii over where I keep my motorcycle. Wendy actually cut down a heartleaf silver gum the other day. She thought it was dead. It was a small one, and it was kind of bonsaied for years growing in the rock. I had a fire nearby last year, and it burnt the leaves off it, so she thought it was dead, so she cut the thing down. So I didn't speak to her for about 10 minutes. Now I'm speaking to her again. Anyway, so I planted. Anyway, I looked for the stump. I thought maybe she left. She said she left the trunk in the ground. I don't see it anywhere. I have a feeling she ripped the thing out, but she says it's in there. Nevertheless, I planted a gunnii near the spot where that grew, and the gunnii should do well. I just put a cage over it so the deer don't eat it, because deer do eat eucalyptus trees here as well. Dylan, what type of eucalyptus trees are they? I'm curious. What are you harvesting the seed from? Are they a hardy eucalyptus or a tropical eucalyptus. I mean, there's like over 700 or so different varieties of gum trees, and it's the higher elevation ones that are most hardy. So those are the ones you want. You get the seed from good provenance. You can grow them in cooler zones. I don't think there's any long-term eucalyptus trees in zone 7. And long-term, I mean something that's been in the ground more than 15 years. It's never been winter damaged. I've seen them growing on the East Coast, but I think they do get whacked every so often by a cold winter. And a lot of eucalyptus trees have linotubers, so when they get frozen to the ground, or if you cut them, if you coppice, or if you coppice them, they will grow back from the ground level pretty much. Or even if you pollard them, they will come back too. So that's a nice thing about eucalyptus. And also arbutus trees up there, they do the same thing. I'm not, Dylan, I'm not too sure, but it's flowering and it's white flowers. Trunk goes red in summer. Wow. Where are you again, Dylan? Red the summer and then brown in winter. I wonder what that one is. I'd like to know. What was your location again? My memory is not the best when it comes to everybody's location. So you're going to have to refresh my memory on that. Are you in the tropics? Dublin, Ireland. Okay, so it could be a tender one. That is definitely zone 9 and the Emerald Island, Dublin. And it could be something more tender. I mean, it could be a gunny eye. I've seen a lot of eucalyptus trees growing in Ireland, and you can grow many different species there. So take advantage of that climate in Ireland. People in other parts of the world don't realize how good it is in Ireland, man, how good you have it, exotic plant growers. It's about a 50-foot tall tree and grows very fast. Yeah, and a lot of them do. I have one. Who is that in the background there? Who do we have here? Who do we have? Krista. Anyway, I have a 60-footer growing by the greenhouse that I grew from seed years ago, and I actually have to get that one cut down, unfortunately, because now it's kind of hanging over the greenhouse. My bad. It's a Perniana. There's 3 of them there, and I can't even cut it. It's too tall. It's really big, and I'm going to have to get Hydro to cut it because the wires are nearby. It's a sketchy tree. Rocky Clemens, do you think a Chinese windmill palm would grow in Kentucky? I think so, in maybe southern Kentucky. You're going to have to give it some protection in a bad next winter, but I'm pretty sure I have seen windmill palms, Trachycarpus fortunae, growing in good microclimates in the bluegrass state. For sure in Tennessee. There's definitely windmill palms in Tennessee. Kentucky, a little cooler. I don't know if there is a zone 8A in Kentucky. I think it's probably the highest might be zone 7B, maybe microclimate 8A, but definitely try one, put it in the most sheltered spot you have out of cold winds, close to a building, and you could probably get away with it. And a good ecotype. Get a windmill palm from a more northerly location and not an import from Florida or California. Weather follower, I've never seen a tree trunk change color due to the seasons. What color is in autumn and spring multicolored? Well, I know rainbow gum, Eucalyptus dedgeloop to do that, but I don't think that would grow in Ireland. It's too tropical. I wonder, you know what it could be? It could be Eucalyptus nitens. It could be a very old Perniana because they kind of change a little bit. The mountain gums we have are mostly white. Stellulata, Black Sally changes a little bit. You have to post a picture of it sometime. If you're in my Facebook page, People Who Love Palm Trees, the group, and Exotic Plants, People Who Love Palm Trees and Exotic Plants, the Facebook group, you could post a pic in there and I could probably identify. What's the most tropical plant you think could grow in Ireland? Wania australis, the feather palm. It's native to some island somewhere, maybe off South America, so you could try that one. Let's just see. Butia, we know is fully hardy there because I know there's big butias. Phoenix canariensis. There are Phoenix canariensis does grow in Ireland. I'm trying to think. Oh, I bet you Rapilostylus sapida, New Zealand shaving brush palm, would grow in areas in southern Ireland. So that'd probably have to be the most subtropical palm you could probably grow there or plant. Now it's starting to Dylan. Now it's starting to get red, and the trunk is very chippy. Cool. I wonder what variety it is. Rocky, thank you. I love your channel. Rocky, thank you. I love your channel. I've watched about all of your videos. Whoa, that is crazy. You've watched a lot of videos, man, because on this channel, there's about 13,200 and something videos. And then on my other channel, I'm sure there's close to 4,000 videos. And then on my very first channel, I know there's over 1,000 videos. So I've uploaded a lot of videos over the last, I guess, 12 years. I've been on YouTube. and I kind of came into YouTube just a couple of years before, when it came onto the air. It was pretty new YouTube thing, and so I've been shooting videos every day since I started the channel. I've never missed a YouTube shooting. Every single day, even when I'm not here and I'm on Maui, I'm shooting videos every day. I just have to upload them when I get back here. I used to bring my laptop to Maui, but now I'm kind of computer free there. Sometimes I grab Wendy's iPhone and I go on there a bit and check things out, but I don't upload any videos there anymore. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more YouTube videos. You can see pretty much any tropical or exotic plant related video on this channel, stuff that grows here and where I travel to. Mostly travel to the Hawaiian Islands, and I have been down to the Caribbean, but when I went down to the Caribbean, that was before I shot YouTube videos. So no videos on in the Caribbean, but I have lots of photos in my photo album of the Caribbean. And of course, they're all of palms because I like palms. And I know a lot of you guys like palms and exotic plants. That's why you're good people. And that's why I like doing these live streams so we can chat it up. I love palm trees. Well, you're a good man, Rocky. Palm trees are good things, and there's so many of them, but there's actually people that actually hate palm trees. They don't like the looks of palm trees. And you know what I think it is? I think it is because a lot of times when you see palm trees, they are pruned wrong. I call it ruining, not pruning. So what people do, they take all the fronds off one of those beautiful palm trees and they leave about 3 or 4 fronds at top. They give it like this hurricane cut. And I think that looks terrible. And it's really bad for the palm tree. You should never take off green fronds. I always leave them on. So I never take fronds off until they've turned brown. And every year, the church in town, one of the churches in town for Palm Sunday, they message me or they see me in town and they say, Joe, we need palm fronds for the Palm Sunday ceremonies. And I said, well, I don't like to cut green fronds off, but I'll do my best because a lot of times in town, there's a lot of palms growing along the boardwalk. People are out there trimming them. And most of the time I get lucky and I can scoop up a bunch of tracky fronds and even some sable fronds, and I drop them off at the church. This year I had a stack of them, and Palm Sunday celebrations were canceled because of the pandemic. So no palm frondy, no palm fronds for the church this year. Vincenze. Hey Joe, it looks like another day in paradise in Salt Spring. My camera optionless is flowering. Can you talk a little bit about identify whether flower male? Well, I think there's both male and female flowers on a Camerops because I collect seed off a single Camerops in town. There's a lot of Camerops growing along the boardwalk. I'm just going to think now. So when I walk along the boardwalk in Ganges, you've probably seen there is one, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 Camerops palms growing along the boardwalk, and there's one that I actually collect seed from, and it's a single palm, and there's no other palms around that one, and it actually gets quite a few seed on it. There's a couple of really big ones in a local garden, and one of them is about 10 feet wide and about 8 feet tall or so, and that one gets seed on it too. And there is one in the garden, another one, but it's quite far away from it, so I think self-fertile. What's the growth rate of a date palm? Well, it depends on the climate. Okay, so Dylan, go for Phoenix canariensis. I think they're a pretty fast growing palm in a temperate climate. I see them on the Oregon coast, and they are absolutely beautiful. Massive, massive palms, and that would be similar to your climate. So you should try a date palm, a Phoenix canariensis, or a short term CIDP. And it will work very well. Plant them in full sun, give it some room because they get freaking massive. Put them in good soil. My theory, $5 whole plant. A Pisa, UK follower here too. Hi, Joe. Good to see a live stream from you. I love your tropical looking backdrop. Love seeing palms. Right on. The people out there in the UK, and we know the UK is a very palmy place. All the islands, especially if you get to the Isle of Tresco in the Scilly Isles, about 28 miles off the coast of Cornwall, that is probably Zone 9B, high end of Zone 9B, and they grow everything there. And there's lots of beautiful date palms and even some washies. What height do Jonama snow gums get? Well, I tell you what, there was a really big one growing in front of the fire hall in town. I sold it to them as a small plant in 2001, and it finally packed it in last year they cut it down, and it died. It started going brown in late October, early November of 2018. So it was 2018, and they were really worried about it. And you know what it was? They washed the trucks out there. They put a lot of salt on the parking lot, and I think that got to the tree, and that tree was about 30 feet tall and very wide. And I have lots of videos of it here, and it did eventually die. It's too bad. There's another big one in front of the marina that is about the same, and I've never seen them get much bigger. So that's a Eucalyptus debusavilli, or Jonama snow gum, the most cold hardy eucalyptus available, because it is native to the tops of Kosciuszko, the mountains of Kosciuszko in Australia. Cheers, Vincenze. My Camarops is about 8 foot. Wow. Never produced seed, but has flowered at least a couple. Isn't that interesting? And yet the ones here are by themselves, and they have seed on them. So see, I always thought they were self-fertile. Well, you know what you could do? You could always plant another one next to it. And you know what you should do is you should plant Camarops humulus cerifera next to it. And I wonder what happened if there was some sort of cross-pollination thing going on, but I'm pretty sure. Google it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Camarops were like male and female flowers on the same plant. So that's why I've seen seed on a single plant, because there's no other Camarops near the one that I take the seed from on the boardwalk. They're quite far away from it, and they're beautiful. They're one of my favorite palms. Camarops. I've been growing them for a long time. I grew them back in the 1980s at my last location, Zone 8A, Zone 8B, but unfortunately, the winters there were very cold, and some of them would freeze down in a bad winter, and all that was left was the suckers. And I did have one actually survive on the south side of my house in a sandy mix close to the building, minus 14.8 degrees Celsius. Vincenze, Dylan, have you ever harvested your own avocado? No, 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 no. We grow avocado, but you'll never get fruit here. I don't think outside. There's a lady that grows them here inside a greenhouse, and she's got lots of avocados. You can see the videos I have here of Jane's citrus plantation and tropical fruit plantation in a greenhouse. But outside, she does have pomegranate, almonds, and lots of kiwis. Almonds grow outside here. They grow to big trees. Avocado, no go. You could grow it in a pot. We have some in pots. And I do know of a hardy avocado tree in a friend's garden, but it doesn't produce fruit. Vincenzo, I've got one next to it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Volcano's awesome. I have several of those I grew from seed in the greenhouse. When they're a little bit bigger, I am going to plant them outside. I got the seed from Europe. So, and they're still quite small, but I really love Volcano. I think that's my favorite. That is my favorite Camarops, the Volcano. I really love the looks of the stiff leaves on them. Some Camarops grow really tall. I've seen some with over 20 feet of trunk on them in Hawaii. There's a couple not too far from our condo in Kihei on Maui, and I have videos of them here. And they have over 20 feet of trunk on them. They're amazing. They look like Trachycarpus palms, but they're actually Camarops humulus. Cerifera next to it. Sweet. You are a palm freak. I love you, Vincenzi. That's good, man. Cerifera is a beautiful Camarops native to the Atlas Mountains of Morocco, I believe. And there's some cool plants that come from there that will grow here. And Cerifera is a hardy palm here, but I don't find it as fast growing as green form of Camarops. There's different forms of Camarops. There's one called Green Mound. It stays smaller. I think a lot of them are native to Southern Europe. Sicily, Sardinia, Spain. I don't know if they grow in the French Riviera on native, but they're definitely native to parts of Italy in the south. I felt a little raindrop out here. Thank God we got a patio umbrella, but I got a lot of blue sky hanging up over me, but I do see some ugly clouds to the west. It's amazing what comes in off the ocean really fast here, but it is a nice day. Thanks, man. I've got Phytosperma elegans seedlings 4-inch pot. I'm not sure of that one. What is that one? When older, what do you think of their chances? I'm not even sure what that plant is. Elegans. I've heard of Camadori elegans. I don't know. I'm not really sure of that one. Is it a palm? I don't think. Is it a pinnate palm? I'm game to trying anything that is half hardy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try coconut palm outside here. I've done that when I was younger. That was dumb. But it's like me planting a Neodipsis tecaria outside here, a triangle palm, which I've done before to see how long it would last. And first heavy frost, it was dead. So I put stuff in that's going to have a chance. I give it 3 tries in the garden. After the 3rd try, if it fails, I give it the boot. Sorry, typo. Solitaire. Yeah, so most of the stuff we grow in our garden is pretty much hardy to this climate. There are some half hardy things like Parajubea we grow, and it's not really a hardy palm long term in this climate. So I have my doubts on it for the long term here. I'm sure that's a palm that's probably going to get nuked when we get a really cold winter if I don't protect it good enough. And so far, it's hanging in there. It looks okay. And same with that Cyagrus butea. I really don't know how long that's going to be in the garden for. Every so often, we can get a bad freeze here. Last one was December 2008. And that one, the winters like that actually take out the wimpy plants, unfortunately. So it weeds out the wimps and it leaves the hardiest ones. So that's why when you live in a zone this far north, your base planting should always be Trachycarpus fortunei palms. If you love palms, mass plant those things. I've never ever had them winter damaged here on Salt Spring Island. Oh, let's see, Dylan, are all yucca plants frost hardy? Absolutely not. We have Yucca gigantea in our garden since June 2007, and that will get weeded out in a really bad winter, although ours survived 2008 because I put a cover over top of it, and it did really well with a few Christmas lights strung around it, and it's still going strong right now. And that's a pretty tender one. Yucca gigantea, formerly known as Yucca elephantippes. If you get down into the Oregon coast, Gold Beach and Brookings, you will see them everywhere, and they are like freaking trees down there. Ours is pretty wonky looking. It's pretty gnarly and twisted, but it's a pretty cool looking plant. So I would say maybe more like a Zone 9B plant long term, and half hardy here in Zone 9A. So all it takes is a bad winter, and if it's not protected during the cold snap like that, it will get nuked. This year I put a plastic bag on it with no heat, and it did fine. And it is sheltered, though. We have it in our upper garden. Upper garden's always a little bit milder than everywhere else. So any of the really tender plants I put up in the upper garden here, because the upper garden is kind of like this, and the cold air just kind of drains away, and it is surrounded by a lot of trees, evergreen trees and stuff. We don't get any cold wind in here, and it's rare that you'd ever scrape frost on the windshield of your vehicle here. I don't even recall once this past winter scraping frost, or even the winter before. We didn't scrape any frost. It's extremely rare to have frost on the windshield of your vehicles here. So, and that's a good thing, because you know what? I don't like frost, but then I get to work, and you can see the videos of it, and the trucks are covered in ice and frost, and that's just over 8 kilometers south of here. So some good ones, Dylan, to try would be Yucca elata, Yucca rostrata, Yucca gloriosa superba, variegated Yucca gloriosa, Toria yucca, Yucca recurvifolia. There's so many different yuccas you could grow. Even Joshua tree Yucca brevifolia is hardy. They just like it dry in the winter. Vincenze, I love Cycas revoluta plants. I have a couple in pots. And we grow Cycas revoluta here. Cycas, now, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's native to China, and we grow it, and it's pretty rare. Panchuensis. Look up, you can type that in, Google it in, and it will auto-correct it for you. Cycas panchuensis, and that is a hardy one. And I believe there's some actually native hardy cycads to the state of Georgia and somewhere in the southeastern states. And if you Google that, it may come up in some pictures. And so those will probably work too. I'm sure they're probably hard to get a hold of, but look up Cycas panchuensis. It's a Chinese, and ours has been outside for about, I guess, 5 or 6 years now. What's the most hardiest banana tree? Musabaju. Hands down, Musabaju is king of the frost beaters when it comes to bananas, because I know people that grow them in Ottawa, Ontario. They mulch them. Of course, they probably would never regrow back if they didn't mulch them, because the ground freezes there. But Musabaju, then I'd have to say Sycamensis. That's a pretty hard one. Musa itinerans, Musa rajapuri, Latina, and apparently the blue Java is supposed to be pretty hardy too. I'm just pushing this underneath here, my computer, because I'm feeling. So let me just scoot up under this umbrella so I don't get too wet. Weird spring weather, and it is raining right now, and if it gets too wet, I'm gonna have to shut this baby down, because we don't want rain on the laptop. Let me just spin this umbrella around here. There we are, and push this over a little bit more. So how's the feed going, guys? Can you guys see me okay? Is it pretty clear? What's the most hardiest banana tree? Trees. Yeah. So actually, I'll tell you something, Rocky. Bananas are actually not trees. They are giant rhizotomous herbs. They are the biggest herb. That's what a banana is, a herb, and not a tree. So if you look and you cut the trunk down, it's full of water and fiber. Can you hear that rain? Oh man, it is raining. Thank God Wendy's got a patio umbrella up here. I don't see any raindrops on my computer because that'll really mess things up. And I think it's going to start raining really hard. This is cool. I'm doing a live stream in the rain. A May shower brings palm flowers. Actually, the palms are blooming right now. Oh, dudes. I'm just on the edge of this. I got to scoot a little bit more under this table so I don't get too wet. I'm just crunched right up here. Can you hear that? I don't know. Maybe you can even see it. Those palm trees are loving the rain. I'm liking the rain too because I'm staying dry here. And I'm drinking my favorite drink. You know what my favorite drink is? That's stinging nettle tea. If you grow stinging nettles and you have them in the forest, make tea out of them. It's really good for you. They are just awesome. And most of you probably want to wear gloves to pick them, but I like to pick them with my bare hands because I like the feel of that sting. And I'll tell you what it feels like. If you have soft skin, they're going to sting and hurt you like heck. But after the sting goes, after a few days, you get this tingly sensation. So it's like when your hands fall asleep and then you get the needles and pins in it. And I like that feeling. So I like to pick them with my bare hands. Watch the videos on harvesting stinging nettles. They are kind of silly, but really good for you, good for your kidneys and good for the iron. So stinging nettles, best tea ever. I drink that twice a day. Hopefully I'll make it to age 60. Captain Redbeard, hello, mate. How do you feed your garden? I'm trying to Oh, yeah, chicken's awesome. Chicken is a lot of nitrogen. Well, you know what? We really don't use really chemical fertilizers in our garden. We use mulch. And like I've said before, constantly mulching, using seaweed, grass clippings. I'm always bringing home grass clippings from the park. So when I'm hand mowing, I save the grass clippings in garbage cans that day, Rubbermaid garbage cans, and bring them home for Wendy. She spreads them around the gardens. Coffee grounds, coffee shop in town every week. I'd bring home about 5-gallon buckets of coffee grounds, big ones, throw those around the garden. Manure, chicken manure, steer manure, mushroom manure, and even compost we have ourselves. So that's what we use. And I did cheat on a few palms. Some Palm Society friend gave me some slow release palm food, and I did put it on some of the palms, and it seems to be working good. So we're always constantly top dressing. That's why our palms are so green. Those have no chemical food on them. Only tough guys drink stinging nettle tea. That's right. It doesn't sting you. It actually doesn't sting you when you have the tea. So what we do, and you can even see how we dry it in my videos, after we harvest it, I hang it up under this patio umbrella, and I let it dry in the sun for about a week or two. And then I take them off and I scrape all the leaves off into a big stainless steel bowl. And then for the wintertime, we store them in these isogenics plastic containers. So first thing in the morning, I make my tea. I bring it to work with me in a travel mug, and that lasts me till about noon. Then when I get home from work in the evening, I will have some stinging nettle tea. How many fronds does a Canary Island date palm put out a year? Well, it just depends on your climate, Ben. So I don't know how much they're going to put out in this climate, but in the Oregon coast, they probably don't stop growing. So I bet you a Canary Island date palm on the Oregon coast could probably easily put out maybe a dozen, maybe even 10 Canary Island fronds every year. The big ones, the big mature ones. I have a friend that has one in his garden southeast of Vancouver in a good microclimate. It's still cooler out there than Vancouver, and it's a big palm right now. The trunk is probably just about as tall as me and probably about 4 feet wide. And it puts out quite a few fronds each year. And I do have videos of it here. It is a monster. And it sticks up over the guy's house. Definitely one of my favorite palms. I have quite a few of them in pots, and we have a small one in the ground. I've grown many from seed. So it looks like we're getting a little kickback of rain on my computer here. And I don't want to get this keyboard too wet, or this will be the last live stream I ever do, unless I use my crappy Lenovo computer. And that one's really slow. It's newer than this one, but this Toshiba seems to be hanging in there. Okay, guys, you know what? It's getting kind of sketchy out here. I am getting a little overspray. Here, I'm going to show you something. I don't know if you can see that. See the rain? See everything's getting wet? It's coming down, man. It's coming down real good right now. And it was nice and sunny when I started. Anyway, my advice to you, if you live in a good enough climate, if you live in zone 9, high end of zone 9, try a date palm. I've seen them last year unprotected for about a decade. There was one growing along the boardwalk in town, right beside the ocean, and the bad winter of 2008, December 2008, totally nuked that tree. My buddy planted it, and it also nuked ours, and it nuked a bunch of other stuff too. So that's all it takes is a bad winter. And there's a lot of people that grow palms that have just got into palm trees that really haven't been through a bad winter yet. And it's kind of frustrating when you have a bad winter and it starts killing some of your favorite plants. Eric Thompson, Aloha Joe. Let me know when your seeds arrive there, buddy. I did mail them yesterday morning. So you have over 1,000 palm seeds on the way. How are your timber bamboo shaping up? Yeah, Captain Redbeard. Yeah, we have a lot of bamboo. I'm guessing we probably have a couple of dozen species of bamboo on our property. Timber bamboo is doing good, but it's too early for the Phylostachys bambuzoides and vivax to shoot here. It shoots a little bit later. I do also have mozo, but it's a very slow growing bamboo this far north. And I transplanted it, so the major canes, the main canes that were above ground died. So it's rooted in. So I'm waiting for some new ones to shoot up. We also have some that have seeded this year, and I'm pretty upset about that. I have a big grove of it that's seeded, and I don't know the exact variety. It's kind of cool. Okay, Eric. Thanks, buddy. I'm jacked. Well, it's good to be jacked when you get palm seeds. See, some people get jacked when they receive a shipment of drugs, but these are palm seeds. They're much better than the bad stuff, right? So you can get high on those palm seeds, and you will have a palm jungle, or you'll have a palm nursery with over 1,000 Trachycarpus seeds from Salt Spring Island. Ben, 172070 Washingtonia palms do well in Zone 8B. Yeah, if you live in the deep south, they would. If you lived in Dallas, Texas, absolutely. If you lived in Zone 8B this far north, they will grow in a sheltered location for so many years till you get a bad freeze, then it's going to kill them. So people do grow Washingtonia here, and I've seen them. I've seen some pretty big ones, but they do get protected when the weather gets ugly, and I've also seen them killed when the weather gets really ugly. I have videos of Washingtonias too. There's actually a big one growing in front of the Empress Hotel in Victoria, growing beside a sable palmetto. Eric Thompson, I tried some Phylostachys and never got them much more than 3 inches before I killed them. Yeah, well, you might want to try Phylostachys aureosilicata. That is probably one of the more hardier of the tall growing bamboos, yellow groove, and it's got zigzaggy canes near the bottom of it. Pretty hardy species. I would definitely give it a try. Mulch the bottom. You got to remember the ground doesn't freeze here. Even in the worst winters, we do not get ground freeze here. I'll tell you something really cool. We're on a well, okay? And our pump house has never been insulated. There's no insulation in there. There's exposed pipes. House run under the ground, and the pump house is quite far from our house. But where it comes up out of the ground, it runs underneath the sun deck, and it's sitting on top of the ground. So in the worst winters, what I did, I just threw a couple of blankets over the pump and the pipes in the pump house, but nothing on the ground, and it's never froze before. So that gives you an idea how mild the winters are here on Salt Spring Island. And definitely look into some hardier bamboos. You'd love it here, Eric. There are some bamboo farms on Salt Spring Island. One of them is called the Bamboo Ranch. He grows probably about 175 species of bamboo on 6 acres. And there's a lot of bamboo collectors. And this other lady, she's got, I guess it's probably about 7 acres of bamboo. I have videos of it here, and you can walk through groves of timber bamboo. It's amazing. There's some really cool bamboo growers here on Salt Spring. And I rarely ever pay for bamboo because people give us bamboo. I just dug out a bunch last fall before I went to Hawaii. So we always get bamboo given to us. People say, hey, Joe, Wendy, do you guys want some free bamboo? Come and dig it up. Ben, 1707, I planted my Washingtonia Robusta the other week, and today it fell out of the pots. Repot it will go into transplant. Not necessarily. It might be okay. From pot to pot or pot to ground, you're okay. It's when a palm is in the ground and you're digging it out and cutting a lot of the roots and stuff, then it gets into way more transplant shock. Unless you're using a massive tree spade or a big excavator and you cut a lot of the fronds off, then it's not too bad, but it should be okay. Eric Thompson, know anywhere to find rhizomes, getting a jump start. Yeah, I mean, you could go online and find out. I don't know who ships that stuff. I'm not too sure. This guy doesn't ship anything, and I certainly don't ship any potted stuff. The last time I shipped palms to Montreal, bigger ones, were 1 gallon, and it was a pain to Mike Page, Coconut Mike. I've done it a couple of times to him, and I had to take them out of the pots. I had to wash everything off to make it lighter for shipping, and I shipped them. One shipping was FedEx. I did 24 1 gallon palms, but I don't want to do that anymore. it's too much work. So I ship seedlings. I ship bare root seedlings, and it's easy. Just wash the soil off. I pull them out of the seed flats, and I ship seeds. Much easier because you got to remember I do work full time for the Parks Department, and growing palms is more of a hobby and not my full time job, right? So when I get home from work, I got a lot of other things I got to do, and if I maybe when I'm retired, I can do that. I can start shipping bigger palms. I got to grow a bunch on into 5 gallon and 15 gallon pots. Do we have a whole section in the nursery where we've been growing them on for a few years, and some of them are starting to get pretty big now. So Wendy wants to get those into bigger pots. So next week we're going to head over to the Big Island. The next weekend, oh, here comes the sun again. Next weekend we're going to head over to the Big Island, pick up a truckload of soil, and I'm going to start potting those palms up into bigger pots and grow them on. Everybody's always asking me for bigger palms. I will send them to Fraser's Thimble Farm Nursery. Charlie Duke, may I ask what your prices are for seedlings right now? 50 cents each for bare root palm seedlings. I don't have any Trachycarpus fortunae seedlings left. I'm sold out. All I have are Wagnerianus seedlings, and a lot of them may be hybrids because I collected them from a female Trachycarpus Wagnerianus palm, a tall one, and there is a Wagnerianus male nearby, but there's also female or male Trachycarpus fortunae. So I always expect naturally occurring hybrids. You're going to get some Waggies, and you're also going to get some hybrids out of those ones too. And those are 50 cents each. My sable seedlings are $1 each, and they're from good eco type. I also have sable brazoria. I'm going to get potting some of those up, and those are $1 each too. So we have some of those as well, and then there's shipping, of course. Let's just see what else we have. Captain Red Beard, 5 prominence and viebacks only just shoot. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yours are ahead of ours then. Cool. What's your biggest bamboo? Would be Phyllostachys bambuzoides. I guess they're about 20 feet tall, something like that. And we have a lot of other ones. Well, actually, the Phyllostachys areosilicata. We have so much bamboo in our lower garden. Oh, no, I actually got a, I don't know if you can see it from here. I can see it from here. It's about 20 something feet tall. It is a type of timber bamboo as well. I don't know which one it is. Somebody gave it to me. It was in a pot sitting in their garden about 20 years ago. Hello from Hamburg, Germany, Mabru 912. Hello, buddy. So they gave me that pot. They said it was pretty much dead. I stuck it in the ground here, and it's an amazing grove. And we can plant the most aggressive bamboo here in our garden, and it won't spread because we live on a lot of rock, right? So if I go into the lower part of our property in the lower garden where there's better soil, that's where we have a big grove of bamboo down there. Why are my fronds dying quickly? Why are my palm? Why on my palms? What type of palms are they? Are they in pots? Are they dry? Did they get winter damage? And then is it showing up this much later? Give me the dirt. Are they in pots with no drainage holes? Um, Tell me what's going on. The growing conditions. They're in pots. Sounds like they might be too dry. You got to water them enough. So um, a lot of times the top will dry out and you keep watering them. Put your finger down in the soil. Sometimes they can be too wet, and that will kill them too. Drainage holes are important. If they were in pots through the wintertime and the pots froze, they will die in those pots, and it shows up months later. It can show up many months later, and your fronds will start to turn brown if you kept them out during a bad freeze. Bigger the pot, safer you are. Palms and pots are far less cold hardy than palm trees in the ground. Even the most cold hardy palms, Rapatophyllum hystric and sable minor, kings of the frost beaters, can freeze in a pot. Freeze dead. If it freezes solid, you'll have a palmsicle. Captain Redbeard, how much topsoil do you have before you hit rock? It just depends. Okay, so up here in our upper garden, maybe about this much. And in order to dig a hole here, we have to use a wrecking bar, a pick, a post hole shovel, and big flat chunks of sandstone come out. We live on sandstone and shale. Now, when we go down lower onto the slope and into the ravine, you can dig as deep as you want, and it's forest loam, uh, you know, 4 feet deep. It's beautiful, and then you start to hit some clay. But up on top here, it's very rocky. That's why we are arbutus growing, native arbutus. It's my Washingtonia robusta. Did you leave it outside in a pot, Ben, in the winter? Dylan, do you think Alexander King Palm, Arcanto Phoenix Cunninghamiana, could grow in Ireland? I'm going to say no, but I think Syagris might have a chance in, how do you say, County Cork, down in the mildest areas of Ireland. I would definitely give it a try. If not, try a Syagris cross butea. We have one in our garden, and it's doing very well, and I'm very pleased with it. Although I have seen queen palms growing in Brookings, Oregon, and they have done very well in Brookings, Oregon. That's Zone 9B. Sunshine, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So with the rain, still light rain coming down, and the garden is just loving it. I'm looking at our fatsia trees here. We have a lot of fatsia trees. And you guys growing fatsia? That's actually one of my favorite BLEs. They grow to trees here. They flower in the winter months, and they always have really nice leaves. We grow the green form and the variegated form. I know there's a camouflage one, and then there's actually one that somebody posted a picture of on one of the palm groups, and it's got really cool, much narrower leaves on it. I also want to try Tetrapanax papyriflorus too. Again, kings are tough. They have issues growing them in Northern Cal. Yeah, I think they want the heat, Eric. I don't think they would work in Ireland. How are you, Jubea hybrids? Yeah, they're doing really good. Parajubea is hanging in there. It seems to be really slow. I don't think it really likes it where it is. Unfortunately, I put it in a really sheltered location, but the location is full of big roots infiltrating the soil from the native Thuya plicata, western red cedar trees, which are one of the most difficult trees to grow a garden around, and they do make the soil kind of toxic. So I was looking at it today. It seems okay, but it could be happier, and there's a good chance I may dig it out. We'll see. We'll see how if it speeds up in growth, but it seems to be growing very slow. Hybrids, Jubea hybrids, Charlie, are doing very good, very good, and same with the Butia Ciagris is doing very well too. What else do we have? I'm reading your comments, Vincenze. Any tips to get my Chilean wine palm to grow any quicker? Oh, they are slow. I find they only grow faster once they start to develop a bit of a trunk. So I'm finding ours is growing a little faster, and it's not a big one by all means. I grew it from seed. I got the seed sent to me from Locarno, Switzerland, and it was harvested in Locarno, Switzerland. Let me see that. So you can see the palms. There we go. Anyway, it's got a trunk on it about this big now. And the palm isn't that big, but it is sure growing nicely. I put it in fairly deep topsoil, and I added really good topsoil. It's on a southwest slope, which gets sun all day. So lots of sun, and I do water it. I do water it a lot. So give it more water, and I think that will speed it up, and that will give it a little bit more growth out of your Jubea chilensis. Eric, a buddy of mine has my mind set on some needles. I just need to find a place. Mature plants. My patience is not. Yeah, yeah. I've grown a lot from seed. They're very slow growing. Charlie, how are your Jubea, Parajubea? Yeah, I read that. Okay, I'm just looking through here to make sure I haven't missed any of your comments. They're in pots. Ben, did they freeze in the wintertime? I want to know that. Your Washingtonians, were they outside in pots? Um, yeah, needle palms. You could contact Pineapple Mike in Niagara. He might bring in needle palms. I know he grows palms in Niagara, Ontario, and you could contact him. They often, I won't say often, a couple of times they brought them in at Home Depot over on the Big Island. I got my first needle palm 19 or 20 years ago from a nursery that brought them in Vancouver, and very slow growing this far north, but fully hardy, and also one of my favorite palms. So we have about 7 of them, 7 needle palms, and I do have a seedling somebody sent me from Montreal, and it's doing very well. It's in the greenhouse, so eventually we'll put that out. And I do love needles. I can't wait till they get big one day, but I'll probably be gone. Yeah. Oh, Eric says he's only 2.5 hours from me. Cool. Dan, the pineapple man. I like pineapples too. Pineapples are good, but I like bananas more. There's a banana right there. You see that? There's a banana. But we do have a pineapple there. Pineapple right there. Yeah, so I know Dan brings in a lot of hardy palms in Niagara. Growing a few Fatsias, Captain Redbud here, 6 feet tall, 2 Fatsia, Polycarpa, both died in the middle of. Oh, yeah. Maybe too dry, maybe their first summer. They're actually a very drought tolerant plant when they're established, and they will tolerate dry shade like Aspidistra, cast iron plant. We have at least 2 dozen or so Fatsia trees on our property here in our gardens, and they are big. They are big. There's some there that are 15 feet tall over beside that palm tree, and most of them around our garden are at least 15 feet tall, and they all flower in the wintertime, and they've always done very well. The only problem we have here with Fatsia trees or Fatsia plants is deer. So if deer get them, they will eat them to pieces. Eric, I want to get a big palm piece on my back. Tattoo shops ever open again? Yeah, cool. I have one on my back. I have a palm frond, and it says palm leaf on it. That's what it says, palm leaf. I got it years ago here on Salt Spring Island at what was it called? Eye Candy Inc. And I don't know, it's probably about this big. It's just a nice palm. I think it's a Livistona palm or something like that. But hey, no pain, no gain. They do hurt, that's for sure. And Livistonas, yes, we do grow those here too in sheltered location. Another Zone 9A indicator plant. If you can grow that, you're in Zone 9A. They're not a very hardy palm, and when they get whacked by winter, they're very slow to put out fronds. So this far north, Livistone is slow, but I have seen them survive in the ground for over 20 years in Vancouver. Penny Farthing Drive down in Granville Island. Gerard Puri, the palm master, planted some in 1989. And I guess it was around 2009, the gardener said to the building owner, who's in front of an apartment complex, that these palms are just getting too big and they have to be removed. Like I say, you can't fix stupid. I would have fired that gardener ASAP. So the palms are gone, and they actually made it into HPI a couple of times, Hardy Palm International. Dylan, I have rabbits. Do you think a canary island palm spikes potentially be dangerous to the No, I don't think so. I've actually seen birds die in Canary Island date palms in Hawaii. Sorry, not Canary Island, they're Phoenix sylvestris. And I've seen actually a myna bird stuck in there. It was dead. And I think I might even have a video of it. And the myna bird actually got stuck in the spines, in the fronds, and it couldn't get out and it died. Vincenze, cheers for all your advice. It is the best location. Did you ever try less hardy palms? No, I don't. The least hardiest palm I've ever really protected would have been back in the 1980s, the mid 1980s, maybe 1986 would have been Washingtonia Robusta 85, 86. Mid 1980s anyway, Washingtonia Robusta, and I didn't really box them in. I used 2x2s and I put a piece of 6 mil plastic over it. So I don't really go to fuss over plants here in the wintertime. It's kind of like survival of the fittest. It's a very low maintenance garden. And, if a bad winter comes, it is going to weed out the wimpiest plants. I know some people go to great lengths in cold climates to grow palms, and hey, good on you if you can do it and you have the energy to do that. But the problem is, I don't know if you've ever been to our coast and seen 30, 40-foot tall Trachycarpus palms. I don't know what the heck you're going to do boxing in a 30-foot Trachycarpus palm. It becomes a lot of work. So at that point in your life, I think you should pack your stuff up and come to the Pacific coast of Canada if you like to grow palms and you're in the central part of Canada or eastern Canada, because palm trees grow really easy here, certain species of them and exotic plants. You literally can create a jungle here. And I'm not BSing you. You can walk through our garden right now, and it is like you were somewhere 1,500 miles south of where you should be, and it looks like that year round, and we don't do anything with it. It is amazing what you can grow here on the Southern Gulf Islands. That's why I moved here. That's why I moved here nearly 3 decades ago to pursue my hobby in growing palm trees. That's the only reason, because of the climate, and I knew how good palm trees grew here because I was growing them here in the 1980s at my mom and dad's place, and they always did well where they were getting killed where I used to live southeast of Vancouver. Eric Thompson, I might make the move. You should. You'd like it out here. I'd love to come and check out that. Charlie Duke, I'd love to come and check out that 20-year-old you feature. Oh, yeah, that's the one we planted. Okay, so my buddy bought that and planted it in his garden, and I helped him plant it in the spring of 1999 at a garden down on the beach in another location on Salt Spring. Then he moved to a higher location farther away. He decided to be a sheep farmer, took the Jubea there. Then he lived there for 4 years. Then he moved down by the ocean again in Zone 9A, and he was going to leave the Jubea. I convinced him to take it. So I got a guy with an excavator and his flat deck truck, a buddy of mine. We dug it out, and we moved it down to Grace Point in 2006. So it's been outside since 1999. No damage, no protection. There's 2 of them there. Smaller one, too, that's been outside for about 13 years. Weather follower in a windstorm. Have you ever had a tree fall near you? Yeah, trees fall on our house. A freak northwesterly blew through here in March 2003 and knocked over 200-foot trees on our house. And we were lucky. It only smashed the overhang of the house a bit. Our house didn't leak. I got a buddy down the road come over with his excavator, pull them off. I had to chainsaw them off the roofs, and then he came with an excavator and pulled them off. And it opened up an area in the garden where now we have an amazing exotic garden with lots of bamboo. So it was great that the trees fell. Nobody got hurt. I lived in Van when I was young. Sweet, Eric. I was born in Van. I was born in the Children's Hospital, which used to be the Grace Hospital. So right across pretty much from Van Dusen Botanical Gardens. That's a good place to be. Vancouver is a great city. It is the gardens there are amazing, especially the old gardens. And there's a lot of palm trees in Vancouver. You don't have to look hard or strain your eyes or your neck to see a palm tree. Yeah, no, we're okay, weather follower. I tell you what, after the hurricane force winds on Salt Spring Island and our coast in December 2018 near Christmas, it was unbelievable. I've never seen so many trees down on our island. It was a path of destruction. Our power was out for 4 days, and some people's power was here. I was out for over 2 weeks. It was unbelievable. It was hurricane force winds, and it looked like somebody had dropped a bomb on our island. And you can still see remnants of it when you drive around. You'll see a lot of broken trees, and there was a lot of broken power poles too. It was a hurricane force storm. It was crazy. And our garden did fine. It missed us here in the north end. I had one rotten maple come down in the back 40 of the property, and I used that for firewood. It was about this big, and the back 40 is no big deal. So I bucked that up the next day. And yeah, it totally missed us on the north end. We got some winds, but they weren't devastating winds here. Let's just see. Charlie Duke, glad you're okay. I see that. Let's just see. What else do we have in here, folks? I think you just answered this. Grow and sete. Oh, Captain Redbeard. Do you bother to grow Ensete? I've grown lots of Ensete in the past, Ensete ventricosum. I don't anymore, and I've even grown them from seed. But check out my videos on Hal's Saloon down the road from us. My buddy Hal has a nice banana plantation, and he has a beautiful red Ensete growing beside his saloon, and it gets really big. So this year it should be a monster size, which will make some good videos for you guys to check out. And they are a beautiful banana, but they do need some protection in the winter, so I'm not going to worry about that. James Palms, I thought I would say hi. James in Ontario there has been watching for a little while, but I'm busy making my kids dinner. I'll ask you one question, Joe. If you were in a Southern Zone 10, what would be your first palm? It would be Bismarckia nobilis. Yeah, because I really like them, and so do actually. Wendy would probably plant a Woodicia bifurcata. She likes foxtails. I like fan palms. I don't get me wrong. I love every palm, but I like fan palms better than feather palms. I know it sounds crazy. If I lived in the tropics, I would probably only have one coconut palm because they are everywhere. But I like Bismarckia nobilis, so it would be busy. I love busies, man. They are just such beautiful palms. And you know what? I like Brahia armata too in the right climate. They look really good. James, what would be the first? Okay, got that. Dinner time. Oh yeah, I guess it is dinner time in Ontario. It's 2:41 p.m. here Pacific time here in the North Pacific, and sun is shining. We did have our rain, and I'm underneath Wendy's patio umbrella, which is really awesome. The patio umbrella is pretty cool. It's got a bunch of Hawaiian leis hanging from it, which I really like. And I'm really looking forward to going to Hawaii this fall. I guess November 11th is late fall. And if everything's safe and we can travel, we will be back on Maui. So stay tuned for some tropical palmy videos. You know, I do have another YouTube channel with a lot of palmy videos on it as well. Check out Jungle Joe C. And that channel is actually connected to this. Somebody the other day was asking about our Japanese maples, and Wendy actually just shot a video of Japanese maples in our garden this morning, and hopefully she'll edit and upload that onto Gulf Island Rock. That is Wendy's YouTube channel, and she's got a lot of videos on there too. I think she's probably got about 800 videos, and she does a lot of nature and garden videos on that one. James, I would definitely plant one of those as well. I think would be a cute. Yeah, definitely. Cuban Royal Palm, Roystonia regia. I didn't even think about that. I think my two favorite feather palms are foxtail and Cuban Royal Palm. I also love the trunks on Cuban Royal Palm because they remind me of concrete. You ever see those concrete telephone poles and they're nice and smooth? We were at the Rocking Goat Dairy on Maui, upcountry Kula, last December. And oh man, I don't really give a rat's, you know what, about the dairy. We have a goat cheese dairy here on Salt Spring, and they actually sell Salt Spring Island goat cheese on Maui. You can buy it in Foodland in Kihei. And we're driving to the dairy up country, Maui, and the driveway was lined with Cuban royal palms. They were all about 70 feet tall, absolutely beautiful. I wasn't interested in the dairy. Yeah, it was okay. But the palms and the agaves, they had these tons of huge agave growing along the driveway under the Roystonia. So check out the video on that. Driveway lined with Cuban royal palms. They're awesome. Charlie Dude, I think the same thing. Saw some in Hawaii. Yeah, there's a lot of Cuban royal palms in Hawaii. Well, pretty much they can grow every palm tree in Hawaii. They're just not too keen on Trachycarpus fortunei. I have seen needle palm in the past on Oahu, And I also have collected seed from Sable Minor on Oahu. And they also grow camarops on Oahu and on Maui. There's a lot of camarops there, believe it or not. Some nice ones. Now it's starting to rain again. How about that? It's just really strange weather. So it's sunny and it is raining. There's lots of blue skies to the northeast and the east. And coming in from the west off the Pacific Ocean, there's a lot more clouds, but there's still some breaks in the sky there. So really good for the garden. This is the best spring weather. I love it because the garden is absolutely so happy. I'm looking at our Southern Gulf Island forecast next week, and it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a mixed bag. Like I say, I do get Monday off because it is a long weekend here. It is Victoria Day long weekend, so I don't have to work Monday, so I can go play in the garden. And I do have a lot of firewood to move too. I split a lot of firewood over the last few weeks, so I got a stack of it I got to move. Charlie Duke, I saw camarops around the Northridge, Oahu, Polynesian. Cool. That is awesome. Well, you know, and I know where that is exactly. You know where there are some nice ones at Lion Arboretum. There's some massive camarops, Humulus cerifera, and I remember when they were planted, they were probably about 5-gallon to 15-gallon size. And last time I was on Oahu was November, December 2000 or 2013, 14, 2014. And they're big palms now. They look absolutely awesome when I was there that last time. Brian Lowry, aloha. You can hear the rain coming down. Oh my God. It's just shocking her down here. Thank God for this patio umbrella. Otherwise, this thing would be short circuiting and I would be soaked. Yep. Trachycarpus love rain. Did you know that? That's why they love the coast there. They love our wet winters. They can handle the dry summers, but they do. They'd probably be a little happier with more summer precipitation. That's one thing here in the Gulf Islands. We don't get the summer precipitation. I was going to say in my last Palmcast podcast that the outer Gulf Islands are drier here than Salt Spring Island. Okay, so we're in a rain shadow, 30 to 35 inches annually. Outer Gulf Islands, Galliano, Pender, Maine, North Pender, South Pender, Maine, and Saturna get a lot less rain. Saturna can get as little as 18 inches annually. That's how dry it is on the Southern Gulf Islands, in the outer islands, okay? And Saturna is the most southeasterly of the Southern Gulf Islands. It's very close to the San Juan, the U.S. San Juan Islands. We're the same archipelago as Washington State San Juan Islands, and we can see them from our island. We can actually also see Mount Rainier in Seattle from east of Seattle from our island as well at higher elevations. It's got to get up on tops of the hills here, and you can see a long way. And I believe you can see the city lights on the south end of our island. You can see the city lights of Seattle if you get up high enough. So Seattle, as the crow flies, is not that far away. It's straight down the coast into the Puget Sound. What do you think of this rain, Miss T?
I know.
Thank God for the patio umbrella here, right? It's just awesome. Hello. It's Madsen. Where are you from? I see you. Hello. How are you doing, buddy? Good to see you in there. It's nice to see everybody in there, all you palm nuts joining into this live stream. We're going to call it a Palmcast because my buddy Scotty over in Tsawwassen, south of Vancouver, he messaged me on Facebook and he says you should call it a Palmcast. You know what? Germany, that's right, Germany. Greetings from Salt Spring to Germany, right on. There's lots of palm trees in Germany. I know because we have some in our garden that I've grown from seed from Germany. Do Washingtonia do well in your climate like tall ones? No. Captain Redbeard, no, they don't. They are a short-term palm. They will survive until you get a bad cold snap, and then they will get nuked. Scotty, yes, I did. Scotty, how's it going? Scotty's an old buddy, a friend of mine. We used to work out years ago back in the mid-1980s. Scotty's a firefighter in Vancouver, and he grows a lot of palms in a suburb south of Vancouver. And a matter of fact, where Scotty lives, in Tsawwassen, the streets are lined with palm trees, man. You would love Tsawwassen. Wendy used to live in Tsawwassen. My gal used to live in Tsawwassen. Where were you, on 54th?
51A.
She was on 51A. And Tsawwassen is a very palmy town. About 30 years ago, I went on a palm tour with the Palm Society in Tsawwassen, and I know where all those nice big palm trees are hiding. So you drive down the main drag at Tsawwassen, and you will get goosebumps if you're a palm freak like me, because the streets are lined with them. And then you hang another right down another street, and there's dozens of palm trees. Even the and the strip malls have palm trees around them too. James Palms, have you ever grown a super Charlie Duke? What about Philipra? No, Philipra are hardy, but they hate the wet winters up here. They're useless in this climate. Filibusta, I've tried. They're not that great. We have one in the ground. It's doing okay. I wouldn't say they're doing great though. Have you ever grown super dwarf Cavendish? Yeah, we actually have one, James. We have a beautiful one right here. And hey, Wendy, can you open up that window, that thing for a minute? Open up that door. Yeah, open up that door for a second. I'm going to flip this around. Can you see the banana right there through the window? Right through the French doors. That is a dwarf Cavendish banana. And this is the third year we've had it now. And I got it when it was really small. And it's doing really well. It's got pups on it. And I'm not even going to bring it outside. It's going to stay inside because it's doing very well. There is Wendy. She says, slowing down. There is, hey, say hi.
Hi.
Is Krista. They like palms too, so they're okay. If they didn't like palms, I wouldn't wave or talk to them. Seriously, I would. James, have you ever gone super? Yeah, I put it in a 5-gallon pot, and I actually have some steer manure in it, some good topsoil, and I actually gave it some palm food. I gave it a high nitrogen food, and it's cranking out the leaves. And even in the dry heat with our wood stove, it's done very well. I let it dry between waterings. It gets full on sun, and so lots of sunshine. Scott, Gale Drive, myself. Yeah. Well, you know what, Scotty? You're living in a good part of the mainland. And if I had to live on the mainland, I would live where Scotty lives in Swassen. White Rock's good too. And I know he used to live in White Rock, but White Rock is actually colder in the winter than Swassen. And a lot of people don't know that. White Rock is more subject to outflow winds, but White Rock is a border town right on the U.S. border, and it's right on the ocean, Semiahmoo Bay, and it goes over to Crescent Beach and Ocean Park. There are a lot of palm trees in White Rock. James palm's awesome. They're pretty easy to grow. Yeah, they're hungry feeders. Yeah, the only food I really gave it was that palm food. It's a slow release. It lives for about 10 weeks. Yeah, Captain Redbeard, Washingtonians, we experiment with them here. There are a few decent sized ones around on our coast, but they do get some winter help when it gets ugly out. And when I say ugly, when it drops down to a minus 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, they're going to get some help. Joe, it's a Madsen. Did you see my question about the track? He was one of the last vids. Oh, I might have missed it. I try to answer every single comment on my videos if you notice, but I'm not perfect, so I'm going to be missing some of them. So I will check it out. I'll check out the comment section again when I get off of this live stream, and I will definitely answer it for you. Yeah, I'm always uploading videos. I just uploaded a few videos today. So, and I uploaded the last one. It's a trachea growing in town. I grew it from seed, and it has 12 flower stalks on it, 12 inflorescence. You should see it, man. It is awesome. It's a beautiful palm, fronds from top to bottom. Thomas Pearson, I live in Sweden. Is there any palm tree? Yes, there are palm trees in Sweden. There are also palm trees in Norway. What you need to do is Google palm trees in Scandinavia or palm trees for Scandinavia, and it will show you what you can grow there. There are Trachycarpus fortunei palms. I had a friend from Sweden visit me 2 years ago. He actually said, Joe, I'm coming to Salt Spring Island. And he visited me here to my garden. I picked him up in town, brought him to our garden. I showed him out at Grace Point. I walked him around and showed him all the palm trees in town. Very nice fella. And he does grow some palm trees in Sweden. So what you want to try is Trachycarpus fortunei. Minus 12 degrees is not so bad for Trachycarpus fortunei 1 or 2 nights, but if that's prolonged, it can be bad. So you can always give them a bit of help, wrap some Christmas lights around them, especially the center growing point, where the spears come out. Don't ever worry about the fronds. If they fry off, some new ones will come out if you got the palm protected properly. And wrapping the trunk really doesn't do a whole much. When you see people wrapping burlap around the trunks, it's almost seemed like it's jammed. Are you guys getting me okay? Is this feed coming through okay? I hope it is. Anyway, here comes the sun again. It seems like I got pretty much all bars on my internet connection here, and we have two feeds. I have Fit and I have one called Island Paradise. So I'm off the Island Paradise one right now. She's actually got internet boosters that take the internet out about 100 feet away from our house to her little cottage out there. You hear me fine, Charlie Duke? That's good. And you see, good. I'm glad you guys can hear me okay. I see your comments coming up nicely, and that is awesome. The very first banana I ever tried in our garden was Cavendish when I lived in Zone 8A, 8B, and I protected the living crap out of it. And it still froze in the wintertime. So don't try Cavendish outside unless you're going to give it some heat. I didn't give it any heat. I put a cardboard box around it. I filled it full of dry leaves, and then I put a tarp over top of it, and it froze the first winter in Zone A, and it actually grew really well. I planted it in the late spring. That was back in the 1980s. And then I got a hold of Gerard, friend of mine. He's long gone now. And he gave me a pup off one of his banana trees back in the late 1980s in Vancouver. And that's where all these bananas have come from, the original banana stock. What do we have here? Do you recommend, Can S, do you recommend to feed any fertilizer under 2 feet high eucalyptus arch rye? I never feed any of our eucalyptus trees. You know what? That's one thing. I don't think eucalyptus trees really need fertilizer. I've never ever fed any of them. I water them for the first season when we plant them in the ground, and after that, they are on their own. They are just a tough, drought tolerant, hardy tree here, and I've never ever given them any extra help. And tender ones are going to get wiped out in a bad freeze. 2008 December, I lost a 30-footer at the end of one of our driveways, and it was a one from very poor provenance, lower elevations of Australia, and it got nuked. So I cut that sucker down. Everything else we have here is doing just fine. James Palms looks perfect to me. That's good. You can see me okay. Yeah, so don't fertilize. You don't need to fertilize your eucalyptus tree. Keep the weeds around away from it around the base, the growing area, and just water it for the first season. I just planted a little one today. And the best way to plant eucalyptus, folks, is when they're small seedlings. The worst way to buy a eucalyptus tree, a root bound big plant, because what happens, you stick them in the ground and a lot of times they'll just topple over. They keep growing. The roots don't get established that well, and they'll flip and they'll blow over in a bad wind. Charlie, what about red velvet bananas, Musa velutina? I tried it. My buddy Austin in Arkansas shipped me some several years ago, and some seed, and they petered out in the greenhouse in the winter. Unfortunately, it got too cool and damp in there for them, and they got botrytis. And even though I had the fans growing, that was the only plant in there that petered out. And then he sent me some kind of like a rhizome, kind of like the tubers from them. I planted them in the garden. Bad move. It's where I used to have the bananas in the upper garden. The cedar tree infiltrated that whole area with roots, sucked the life out of them. They didn't really grow. They got stunted and they died. It got too dry in the summertime. So that same year, I dug out the bananas and I moved them to the lower garden. And then now they grow about 17 feet tall again, which is good. And you don't want to be planting bananas around any big trees where the roots can potentially suck the life out of them. And cedar trees are the worst here. Native cedar trees, the roots are really fine and they knit the soil together and water can't penetrate through them. So I can go underneath some of our cedar trees after rain and it's totally dry under there. What about red velvet? I got that one. I'm looking at your comments. Everything looks good. So it looks like everybody's doing well out there and you're watching the live stream. Scotty, next time you're over here on your boat, if you have a boat, visit us on Salt Spring, give me a call. You can come into Fernwood Dock, it's just down the road from us, and we can meet you there. We can pick you up and we can bring you back to our place and show you our jungle here on the north end of the rock. It's very jungly right now because of the weather. It's been just perfect. Spring has been very dry here, except the last couple of days. It's been very nice, and we've had this rain, and the garden is, like I say, is so happy because of this rain, and I'm happy too, because usually I'm dragging the hose around, watering for at least an hour and a half. So we do different sections of the garden. Wendy will water the upper garden. I go down into the nursery, and it is very time consuming. So when fall rolls around, I am actually quite happy I can roll up the hoses and pack things up for winter and let Mother Nature provide the H2O for our exotic garden. And the palm trees do keep growing through the winter months here. They don't stop. All right, Can S, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, there's a lot of eucalyptus trees here. We have some 100-foot ones in the front garden. We have eucalyptus trees all over the place here, and mostly in the front garden, and a lot of Dullery and Plana, Caibiensis, Passiflora, Niphophila, Debusavilli, Gunnii, Archeri, Stellulata, Perniana, a lot of different ones, and they all do very well here. So just remember when you're planting eucalyptus, get the right one for your zone. Don't go into the nursery and pick the wrong one, which most people do. They like ones with the nice round leaves on them. Some of them aren't hardy, and then they freeze the first winter, and then they get discouraged. Any Camadoria? You betcha. We have 2 Camadoria palms in the garden. One of them I planted 23 years ago, and the other one I planted 5 years ago. Camadoria microspadex, Camadoria and radicalis. Fully hardy in this climate. Radicalis has never been winter damaged in this climate. Brought it in from California, imported it from Southern. I think it came from Jungle Music, Phil Bergman, Westminster, California. I got it through the Palm Society. Captain Redbeard, cheers, Joe. This is a cool thing. Do thanks for your time. Cut down by my down my gun at 2 feet because it was growing. Yeah, you can cut them down. Yep, that's great. Yeah, we cut many of our eucalyptus trees down. We actually use some of them for firewood. And yeah, I kind of like them as a small bush. So if you coppice them right down to a short stump, you can keep it trimmed as a bush. If you pollard them to like about a 6 foot trunk or 8 foot trunk, you can keep them as a small tree. I always prune them in spring and summer if you're in a northern zone. If you prune a eucalyptus tree in this zone in the winter and you get a bad freeze, you can kill even the hardiest. It'll freeze it. James Palms, just watching some robins pick the fibers off one of my window. Yeah, they're going to use it for nests. I see them do that in the park. I don't see them do it here in our garden, but what I do see in our garden is hummingbirds. They come up to the tree fern, and as the fronds come out, they got fuzz on them. You can see bare spots on the fronds. Those little buggers are taking that fuzz off the fronds, and I think they're using it for their nests. And right now, there's a bunch of fiddleheads coming out of our tree ferns. The big one has big fiddleheads coming out, and the Australian tree fern, Cynthia cooperi, have fronds coming out too. And I've seen hummingbirds around there, and they do use them for nesting, which is just fine by me. I like birds. There's a lot of birds around here. Robins are here year round. I see them in the wintertime, and they really love the berries on the holly trees. Holly trees are actually an invasive species here, but the birds like them, so I'm fine with it. You see, we have one growing on our property line. It's about 30 feet tall, and when the berries are on it, you need a male and a female. The hybridized ones, there's ones that don't have fertile berries on them, but the old school ones, you get a male and a female, and then the female get the fruit on them, and the birds love the fruit. And they do self seed like a weed. So when we're in the forest, we're told to cut them down because I work for the Parks Department. But I often miss them, even though I see them right out of sight, out of mind. It's like we'll be walking through the forest, and you'll see laurel trees, and you'll see Portuguese laurel trees, and I leave them alone. I think they look perfectly at home in our forest. It's these native plant people and invasive plant people that go in there and they rip everything out that is not native. They haven't spotted my palm tree yet in Mowat Park, and I'm going to be pretty upset if they cut that one down. It looks really nice growing in there. I just chucked a few seed around and it's growing. There are palm trees growing in the park. But if they get their hands on it, I sure it won't be there much longer. And it has been there for quite a while now, unfortunately. And I just hope they don't. I hope they don't see it. Anyway, folks, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of robins around here, and we don't have starlings at this end of the island. There's starlings in town, but I've never seen a starling at this end of the island. We have a lot of ravens, we have eagles, we have a lot of turkey vultures, and lots of other birds around here. We have a lot of bird houses on our property. We have probably about a dozen bird houses, and some of them are occupied right now. When I get up every morning in bed, I'm looking out the window and I see the little bird going in and out. It's a little yellow. I don't know if it's a finch or a canary, tiny little thing. It's pretty cool. And we have purple martins here too, but they're down by the water. So yeah, lots of wildlife here. And there's a raccoon that's been visiting in our garden lately, and he's been making a real mess. So I got a trap set for him, a live trap. Don't worry, I'm not going to catch him and put him in the stew pot. He's been digging up our garden, up at the upper garden there. He's been moving the rocks out of the rockery. He dug up a myrtle the other day. You know, the true myrtle communist, Myrtus communist. He dug that out, related to eucalyptus. He's digging up bulbs. I think he's looking for grubs, but he's making a big mess. So I got a trap set out there. I put oysters in it the other day. Obviously, he doesn't like oysters. I put some of our dog food in it for last night, and the trap is still empty. So it looks like he's more interested in digging the gardens up and eating the grubs. So when I catch him, I'm going to transport him farther away down the road, and hopefully he won't make his way back because he does make a real mess of the garden and is getting really annoying. And oh, he dug out one of my palms. That was the last straw. Several days ago, he dug out one of the palm trees, little palm tree, little windmill palm tree laying on its side. So I said, "That's it, dude. You are going." So the live trap, we're going to catch him, and we're going to relocate the raccoon. Charlie, do I made a trip to Seaside, Oregon a couple of years ago. Went fishing, rivers outside town, found a huge ancient redwood. Whoa, cool. I've heard of them. Yeah, well, there's lots of redwood trees here. We have some in our garden. There's lots of big ones on our island, but they've been planted here. They're not native. Generally, they start the native ones, coast redwood, start at Brookings, Oregon, and then you'll see a lot of them in Crescent Beach or Crescent City and south of that. Yeah, there's some really big redwood trees on our coast, ones that were planted over 100 years ago. Beautiful. Have you ever seen anything like that there? Yeah, absolutely. I got videos of them, Charlie. I have a video of a redwood tree that's probably about 9 feet across at the base, maybe 10 feet across, growing in a guy's front yard in Victoria. And I'm sure that tree was probably planted 100 years ago. It's a Sequoia dendron giganteum. That's the big tree native to the south, to Nevada or whatever, the Sierra Nevadas. The ones that we grow here mostly are the coast redwoods, but we have a lot of the big trees as well. Yeah, I'll find a video for you. It is on here. James Fons, how many fronds would you say your average windmill palm? Uh, Around 12 a month, roughly. Oh God, they're nonstop growing. Yeah, I don't know, man. They're just growing like weeds. Well, I haven't counted them, but I bet you they put out more than half a dozen a month. I'm sure. Yeah, at least. Hey, Wendy, how many fronds do one of our palms open up a month? Have you ever counted?
A month?
Yeah, like they're just constantly opening. Like they're just. I mean,
Yeah.
they might open 6 to 10 fronds a month. I
A
guess.
month?
We should actually do a video of that. We should
No,
actually.
not monthly though.
You don't think monthly?
No, not
No,
all year round. No,
no, they open a lot a month.
but
They
yeah,
oh for sure. They're just constantly growing. These things have been growing all winter.
yeah. But in the winter, they kind of
They slow down, but they
slow
still
down.
grow. So through the winter months, you might get
Probably
like
about
one and a bit fronds,
7 or 8.
7 or 8. So she's
They're
thinking,
always pushing out.
she's thinking 7 or 8, something like that. I really haven't counted them. Maybe I should actually do a video on that. I should mark one and then go from there. But they are constant. I mean, see these ones behind me. I grew from seed. I planted them as seedlings, and they've just grown like weeds. Um, oh yeah, Charlie Duke. There's so many redwoods here. There's a redwood hedge on our island that was planted over 100 years ago. It's the big trees, and there's probably about maybe 7 of them in that hedge. They're spaced apart, and they're 100 feet tall. So we have in our garden we have coast redwoods. We have two. I guess they're probably about 70 feet tall. I planted them as saplings, and I have the red one, Aptos blue. I mean the blue one and the green one. So Aptos blue and the green form too. So lots of big coast redwoods on our island. Do you have an favorite evergreen viburnum? Yes, I do. Retidophyllum. We have 2 of them in our garden. That's leatherleaf viburnum. And Tinus is overused here, but I do like it. And they grow quite big and they bloom in the winter months here. Viburnum tinus, late winter, they're blooming. But Viburnum retidophyllum is probably one of my favorite viburnums. There's also a really cool viburnum Wendy bought. It's evergreen. It's blooming right now. And I should actually grab it and show it to you. It's got really tiny evergreen leaves on it and really nice white flowers. Yeah, Charlie, watch my videos on redwoods and you will see redwood trees here on our coast. And if you don't see them on this channel, remember I do have another YouTube channel, Jungle Joe C. Search engine on that channel for redwood trees and you'll see redwoods growing here on our coast. I don't miss a thing, trust me. I don't leave home without my camera. Uh, you had a problem with Tinus? Yeah, nope. Tinus works really good here. They're huge. They're all over the place. They can use them as a hedge, and they're just everywhere. I like them, and we have them in our garden, but they are very overused, like ceanothus. 4 most overused shrubs on our island are ceanothus, choicea, Mexican orange, viburnum tinus, and photinia. Photinia is overused as well. There's just so much photinia everywhere. I still like it. We don't even have one in our garden, but I think I'm going to get one for our garden because I do like the red leaves. They're used a lot for hedges here, and they are trees as well. And Portuguese laurel is another common one. I like them better than conifers. I like BLEs. Don't get me wrong, conifers are okay, but if I had a garden, I'd rather have it full of BLEs and not conifers. Conifers are all around us, okay? I mean, look around us. It's a forest of conifers, okay? So I want broadleaf evergreens around me, and we have native broadleaf evergreens here. The forest canopy is native broadleaf evergreens. We have native sword ferns, which are evergreen. We have other ferns here that are evergreen. We have salal, we have Oregon grape, we have Oregon box, and then we have manzanita, and we have arbutus trees. So that's all broadleaf evergreens. Viburnum davidii is over. Oh, sorry, we have that too YouTube channel. We also have Viburnum davidii, totally overused here. I compare that to junipers, low growing junipers, which I absolutely hate. I do not like low growing junipers. I don't mind Viburnum Davidii because it is a BLE, but low growing junipers, that's one plant I would never, ever have in my garden. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody if you grow junipers. Those belong in the Rocky Mountains, and they're too overused years ago in commercial landscapes, and they're absolutely boring. So no evergreen junipers. Charlie Duke, thanks for doing this today, man. I've had questions and I appreciate the answer. Anytime, Charlie, pop in there. Check out our Facebook page, Palm Trees. People who love palm trees and exotic plants. If you're on Facebook, do you have a favorite magnolia? You betcha I do, James. I like grandiflora, but I think my favorite is is probably a deciduous one, and it's macrophylla. It's the big leaf magnolia, and we have one in our garden, and it's absolutely a beautiful tree, and it gets nice flowers. There's some very big ones here on Salt Spring Island, and it is much hardier than grandiflora. But grandiflora is also a very common tree here on our coast, and they bloom right up until November. You'll get flowers on grandiflora here. There's one in Centennial Park. There's one in Peace Park. And there was also one at the pool we planted in the garden a decade ago where I have the razorback palms, and it's doing beautiful. And after a big snowfall one year, actually more than one year, it came off the roof. They didn't have snow guards, and it came down and it totally destroyed the magnolia. Broke just about every branch off of it. Trunk on it's about this big, and it regrew back. It's bigger than the building now. They grow really fast here, Southern Magnolia grandiflora. Okay, what else do we have here? Is that hardy to zone 6? Magnolia macrophylla. It might be. I mean, I would try it if I would Google that. I think they are pretty hardy trees. They are deciduous, so they go dormant. So definitely try a Magnolia grand or Magnolia macrophylla, the large leaf. They're native to the southeastern United States and parts of northern Mexico. YouTube channel. Are you having any issues with invasive vines on your property? Yeah, right there. See that tree right there? You see what's on that tree right there? That is an invasive vine. And that tree we cut down about a month ago. You can see the video of us cutting that down. That was a big maple tree. But I like that. I like that vine. Excuse me, I gotta get a drink. I'll be right back. Hang in there, folks, before I croak. Okay, coming back. So ivy, folks, and English ivy. Sorry about that. English ivy is an invasive, along with um, holly. Holly is a very invasive species here, but ivy will take over your forest. They get massive. The vines get massive here, and we have a lot of it. We got to rip out. It's all over the trees. I'm going to show you something here. If I put it to another tree, you can see it on that tree too. Look at that's English ivy. So that's what English ivy does. That is a broadleaf evergreen. It grows like a weed. It gets massive vines, and it self seeds like a weed too. And it does flower. It gets little yellow flowers on it. So yeah, when you see them in the forest, you probably should rip them out. Daphne laureola is another invasive species, but we have it in our garden. I like the plant. Spurge laurel. I like your shirt. Are you James? Yeah, Disneyland. I've been there on two separate vacations, but I've been there many times because on my vacation we got a pass and we took the kids down there. The last time we were there was uh, August 2008. So we stayed there for a week in Anaheim at the hotel by Disneyland. So we were in Disneyland every day, and we went to Wonderland. And then when I was 17, long time ago, back in December 1981, I went down there for 2 weeks, and I went to Disneyland a couple of times and did all the Magic Mountain in Valencia and did Knott's Berry Farm and all that stuff. So I went down there to see the palms. That's why I went down there when I was 17. I wanted to see the palm trees, and I got lots of palmy pics when I was a young fella down in Southern California, and then we drove down into Mexico quite a ways too. Oh yeah, broom YouTube channel. Broom is bad stuff too. It does actually have medicinal properties. I don't mind the looks of it, and I like the fact that bees love it. But when I bought this place, there was a lot of broom, and first thing I did was take a machete and I cut all that broom down. Some of it was quite big, and I mutilated the stumps. It never came back. Those plants, but the odd time you get seedlings coming up like this. So we go along the front of the property because that seed can stay dormant in the ground for many, many years. So we go along the front of the property, and yesterday when we were walking